Now, here's a thought for you. If supermarkets and other retailers don't bring down their prices quickly in response to falling prices for fruit and vegetables, for meat and other staple products, do they risk damaging their corporate reputations in the same way that, say, Qantas or Optus have? Well, right now, the Nationals leader and Shadow Agriculture Minister, David Littleproud, has been calling consistently for an inquiry into supermarket pricing. This week, he's got something of a reprieve because the government has basically said it will start to look at this, but it does go much deeper. David Littleproud joins me now from the Gold Coast. David, always good to chat to you. Here is the situation. The supermarkets, it's not enough just to simply have an inquiry. It's got to be a case where supermarkets do respond to what is quite clearly lower commodity prices.
And they do, and that's why we've been calling for a price monitoring inquiry into meat, but I think there's also a need in the horticultural sector for our fresh produce as well. We've seen a 70% reduction in beef and sheep prices, yet only an 8% reduction at the checkout. Now, someone's cleaning up, and that comes from the top, and that comes from Woolworths and Coles. I can understand that grain-fed takes about 90 days for it to go through the feedlot, be processed, and then come through. But these reductions in prices happened in June. And grass-fed, that they're now still selling for over $25 a kilogram at the supermarket, should have actually dropped immediately in June, but they're not. Farmers are now getting somewhere between $3 and $5 a kilogram. And if you look at even in the horticulture sector, things like watermelons, they're getting paid $1 a kilogram, our farmers, yet Woolworths and Coles are charging $3, $4 a kilogram, and there's no processing of that. You don't need to process a watermelon, you put it on the back of a truck and you send it to the supermarket. So we've been saying that they've been taking advantage of this. They've got form on this. They did this during COVID. In fact, the former ACCC chair made it very clear that he felt that the big two supermarkets in Australia and the big German were touching Australians up. But they're doing this now. We've called for the government to do this. They've instead called a review, but that review is into the broader architecture of competition policy in Australia. This is a short, sharp price monitoring inquiry that actually compels the supermarket CEOs to turn up and to give evidence. They don't have to give evidence, they don't have to do anything, and in fact, if the ACCC found that they were doing something, they could actually act immediately, not wait for 6 months or 2 years. And in fact, even Alan Fells, the former ACCC chair, has come out in support of the Nationals' call for a price monitoring inquiry on the supermarkets, on fresh and particularly perishable goods immediately.
OK, so there's one issue about this because the government is fighting inflation. It's claiming it's doing all sorts of things to try and aid inflation coming down to take pressure off the Reserve Bank and interest rates. This is one demonstrable thing it could do very rapidly to try and put pressure back on supermarkets where margins are improving to take pressure off inflation.
They could have done this months ago, and in fact, as soon as the ACCC compelled the supermarkets to turn up and to give evidence, if they had found evidence, the ACCC could have taken action with the government immediately. But it also means that we're going to head into Christmas, and these supermarkets are playing with these prices because they know that this is the most profitable time of year for them. As they did with COVID, they made record profits in making sure that they took advantage that many Australians were locked up and had to take whatever they could get. This is about making sure you have a tough cop on the beat, and if the ACCC need greater powers, then the Parliament should actually pass them and make sure that they're given. In respect to those, we actually do support the government in the broader competition policy reviews. We have a grocery code of conduct that's actually voluntary, even though they've all signed up. The largest penalty for that is $64,000. A supermarket would just take that out of the till and pay the ACCC. We need minimum penalties for the supermarkets of minimum of $10 million and scaling up, as well as divestiture powers, as well as giving suppliers a cheap independent arbiter to take the supermarkets to the ACCC to have their cases arbitrated. At the moment, they have to take them to court and they fear retribution. So we need to change the competition policy because these supermarkets have been doing Australians over. They have lost their social licence to operate in this country because they control 74% of the grocery market. It is time for government to act. And the National Party, I've made it clear to the new competition minister that we will act constructively and we'll work through with them any legislation they want to bring in to actually square up with these supermarkets. This has been the bane of our existence for many years, the Nationals, and we've made it clear to Andrew Lee, the Competition Minister. In fact, I've even sent him the reforms that we would be prepared to support. So we wait for him and we wait for this inquiry to be completed, but we need the ACCC to be the tough cop on the beat now to pull these supermarkets into line before Christmas.
I'll tell you what, David Littleproud, always good to chat to you and have you on the program today. Many thanks for your time.